Welcome to another edition of Model Motors. Today we're coming from the Corgi Heritage Centre in Hayward, Lancashire. Now the Corgi brand evokes happy memories for many people, but I'm here today to relive some of my old memories and find my old collection. Let's go and have a look. This is fantastic. It's like meeting up with some old long lost friends, and I've said that before. You know, with Corgi, sometimes the scales varied from the classic 143rd to 150th to even 155th. Yet, to dismiss them from any collection would be a real no-no. The good thing is, they're not that difficult to find even now, but you've got to know just where to look. Let's have a look at these a moment. Now, good boxed ones, in mint condition, are probably the only ones to go for if you want your investment to appreciate. So expect to pay on average between about £40 and £60 a piece. Unboxed ones, perhaps bearing a few scars, they'll only set you back a couple of quid, but they should do everything to bring back all the right memories. Let's check a real classic. Michael Caine's Italian Job. A Mini, isn't that absolutely fantastic? You know that since the 60s, Corgi have been renowned for their TV and film themed cars. Who can forget Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the Batmobile, Starsky and Hutch from the 70s? Well, my particular favourite was always James Bond. And behind me here is every car from every movie he's ever made. Goldfinger, The World Is Not Enough, Octopussy, For Your Eyes Only, Diamonds Are Forever, they're all here. Now these are recent replicas, but if you have an original from the 60s, believe me, in auction it will fetch a whole lot of money. Well worth looking out for.
We actually represent and distribute for a company called Real Toy, and also for another company called Seiko. Both of these companies manufacture in the Far East, and they produce die-cast vehicles, some of which are for the toy market, some of which are collectibles. You can see some of the collectible products in front of us here. We're introducing this year a new range called Track Stars. These are vehicles which are touring car races, and also there are some racing cars here as well. Right. There are going to be 12 each in different liveries, and the unique feature of these that makes them extremely collectible is that, as well as the liveries, is they come with their own little box, which is a tin box, so it's stands wear and tear, and you can collect each one in a tin, so it's a very collectible item. We then go on to a larger scale, which is a 1/24 scale. New for this year, you can see we've got the PT Cruiser from Chrysler. Other items, we've got the original Beetle, we've got the new Beetle, coupe version there, but we do them saloons and coupes. And then we've got some of the sort of from the past as well, where you've got the Morris Minor, which we do with the fold-down hood as a coupe or as a saloon, and we've got the TR3A. So we do quite a range of products. This is just some of the product. In the production models, there are favourite colours, and they tend to be the favourite colours that people buy. But as much as anything, it's the detail within the product, it's the detail in the cars. The collectors have a great eye for detail, so that's got to be right as much as the colour itself, yeah. We get a lot of telephone calls, when things hit the market, and then we start getting clubs telephoning us. In fact, the Morris Minor, we sell to the Morris Minor Club in the UK. They're very interested and have approached us. And we sell abroad to Morris Minor Clubs in Holland and places like that, Belgium. The growth for us is that there are more and more European influence models coming into it. We'll have the new BMW Mini, the Peugeot 206, and this is the area that we see growth, that the younger people perhaps are looking to newer models, and we're also very big in the toy market, so they sell through that area as well. These are cars that are featured in the racing series in Australia, in their touring car series, and also the actual F1 cars are for Australian use as well, and it will develop into F1 cars that are international, the worldwide F1. So we see children collecting these because they're bright and they've got recognisable logos on them, and you know, established collectors will also go for them as well, we feel, because there is this element that you've got the tin, you can collect them and store them in the tin, and it's just a new novel way of doing it, and at a sensible price.
You know, for the model railway enthusiast, over the last couple of years, we've seen the introduction of some really nice fine scale models like these. Now, for a word on differing scales, let's talk to our resident expert, Ralph Avis. Now, in most walks of life, size matters, and so it's the same with model car collecting. I'm back with Ralph, and we're having a look at various scales of model cars. Ralph, just talk me through these.
Right, we've got 1/43 scale, 1/18 scale, 1/12 scale, and 1/8 scale.
How do they differ in price?
Well, these three here are mass produced. This one is hand built. This one is about £25. This one is about £45. This big 1/12 scale one is almost 250, wow. And this big 1/8 scale one is 800.
800?
800.
Limited edition?
Well, they're handmade, so we can have these custom built for customers in certain colours and some accessory changes if they wish.
Right, I understand. Which one's the most popular as far as the customers are concerned?
These two scales really, 43rd and 18th are the most popular.
Yeah. How do you display them? I mean, at home, obviously, you're going to have a problem the bigger the scale, really, isn't it?
Yeah, this one comes with its own showcase, so this can be displayed on its own. Normally, these ones, most people would have probably cabinets at home if they've got them, or they can display the bigger ones like this individually.
Well, the level of detail is incredible. I mean, obviously, the smaller one is beautifully made, but looking up as we go, I can see that they're replicated accurately, the bigger the scale.
Yeah, they get more detail, like this one here, everything comes off, all the body panels come off.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's incredible. How about the weight? Are they quite heavy?
Very.
Well, it's quite a hefty weight. So, obviously, the bigger the car, the more of a problem you're going to have at home displaying it, so be careful. But if you choose a size that is going to fit in the cabinet nicely, I'll stick with a 1/43. Thanks, Ralph.
Thanks, Lawrence.
You know, if you're into lorries and trailers, there's no bigger range than Eddie Stobart's. It's absolutely massive and it's extremely collectible, so look out for it. Now, if you remember last week, we left the guys back in the office building their remote control car. We looked at getting started and getting the gears into place. Today, we're going to look at the electrics, so check this out.
Hello there and welcome back to the Men & Motors production office, where our two volunteers have been grafting very hard putting their model cars together. Now Mark, it looks like you're going great guns. Had any problems with it?
No, not at all. So I'm putting this in at the moment.
What does that do?
It is the, have a look at that, it is the speed control rod.
Oh, very posh, very posh. You've not found any problems with the instructions?
No, everything's been fine, it's easy.
If only he'd apply himself this well at work, eh? He'll go far one day. Now Rob, looks like you're not having quite the same look as Mark.
No, I have. I've been having a few problems. I put the motor in the wrong way around at first and only realised after I'd tightened everything up, so I had to redo that again. Then
Carry on, mate.
I had a couple of washers like that. Instead of putting the plastic ones in, I put metal ones in. I had to take them out as well.
So would you say that it is a lot harder than it looks? You know, just reading the instructions.
A lot harder than it looks, I reckon.
Oh, Mark's disagreeing with you there. He's a bit too cocky for his own good. Any other problems that you've had with it?
No, that's about it. But my hands are greased up because of the grease, so I keep dropping out bits all over the place. But
how long is it before we're going to see you throwing tools about the office and stomping home in a tantrum?
Oh God, half an hour or so if that.
So do you think a day is a reasonable amount of time to put one of these things together?
A day, yeah, probably a full day though. Full day, definitely.
You're still reasonably confident you're going to get it finished by the end of the day?
Yeah, I reckon so, just about.
And of course then, you've got to race it with Mark and all the rest of the guys at the championship.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely beat them at the racing, but not the making.
There we go, Mark, that's the gauntlet thrown down. What do you think to that?
Nah, not phased at all.
There you have it, our two volunteers, confident as ever. Let's leave them to it.
Well, Rob's
been having a little bit of problems with his car, getting a bit frustrated with it.
Yeah, I have a bit.
So which bits did you get stuck on?
It was all the wires and all the electric bits. As soon as they came into the instructions, I just got a bit stuck with it.
You're not an electrician?
Oh no, not at all.
Does your mum let you near the old lights at home?
No, no, she don't.
Well, as you saw in the footage that we've done, I've done a bit of wiring up for Rob. It can get a little bit confusing, and we're just going to centralise the radio system, so hopefully we should be about ready to hear it go. Get the battery. They're all foolproof connectors on here, so you can't put them in the wrong way round. Switch that on there. And nearly, not quite. Because what you've got to do, these little servo motors that you can hear moving there, you've got to get those lined up, and that should be it now. So we go forward. Fantastic, so you're about ready to go.
Yeah.
So if I leave you now to fit all the suspension back together, are you happy now that's done?
Yeah, cheers for that, Rob. I think I'll be able to handle the suspension.
No problem, it is one of the more difficult bits, and if it catches fire in about an hour, you didn't see me, all right?
Right then.
I'll leave you to it, mate.
Well, that looks to be coming on just great. Next week, the guys look at suspension and steering. Now, coming up in part 2, I meet with a celebrated author. We get to speak to Chris Brierly, the guy in charge here at the Corgi Heritage Centre, and we also hear from Alex Reed, our resident expert. So, don't go away. Well, welcome back. Now, in part 2, I get to chat with Chris Brierly, the guy in charge here. We also hear from our resident expert, but first, I caught up with a celebrated author, Chris Nixon. Now, as an author, I know that you are extremely meticulous, and this particular book did take you a long time to research and finish.
It took 20 years to get into publication, but this was not my fault. I got so caught up by the love affair between Dick and Erica, and I met Erica when she was living in Florida in the early 80s, and she was terribly helpful. And so I then decided to put the book to one side and write a screenplay, which I did, and I worked on that for a long, long time.
It is a wonderful story. I mean, I've read it myself, and I know that Dick Siemens' rise was very quick, in as much as I think it was 4 years before he was reaching the top for Mercedes after just driving for MG, let's say.
Yeah, he started with his own, he didn't drive for MG exactly, he drove an MG. He started with that in 1934. And 1935 he had an ERA, and 1936 he bought a Delage, and all this brought him to the attention of Mercedes, and he joined them in 1937. It was a very quick rise, and he upset a lot of people over here, because in the 30s, motor racing in England was very much a sport for wealthy amateurs. And Dick had a very keen business brain from the start, and he wanted to make his racing pay. He knew what he wanted to do, he was very ambitious, and he was very successful. But sadly, it all ended in tragedy when he crashed into a tree at Spa in 1939.
Well, he was certainly a hero of mine, certainly since I've read the book. I mean, the book for me was a kind of heavy cocktail of racing action and personal moments from Dick and his wife Erica. It was wonderful. And looking at this particular print here by Graham Turner, we can see Dick Seaman in the W154. That's exactly right.
This is on his way to victory in the German Grand Prix 1938. He's in the carousel here at the Nürburgring. And this is the picture that Graham Turner did some while ago. And I bought the original, and so it was a natural for the cover of the book.
I really enjoyed the read, and Dick Seaman now, for me, will live on and on. I don't know about David Seaman, but certainly Dick Seaman. Thanks, Chris. Thanks very much. Well, I finally got to meet the man in charge here, and it's Chris Brierly. Chris, how you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Now, tell me about how long's the centre been going?
We opened in 1995, but before that I actually opened the model shop in 1988, and it was a passion of mine for many, many years.
But you weren't always into models, were you?
Yes, I was, but I mean, I actually earned my living to start when I left university by teaching PE for 12 years. So from PE to a model shop, it's some change, but it's worked out.
It's a labour of love then, yeah?
Brilliant. Yeah, I'm like a big kid in a toy shop. Well, I'm a big kid, just like you, eh?
Oh, exactly, yeah, just like me. Now, I had a Corgi collection when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Presumably you must have done the same.
Definitely. But have you still got them?
No, the watchword is that, no, my mother gave them away.
It's not. I mean, you go away and you come back home and all of a sudden, Mum, where's this? Oh, I gave them to the jumble sale. And you think, oh my goodness, but we kept some, but I did lose a fair bit as well.
What's the most popular strand then within collecting, would you say? Or is that difficult?
It's each to their own. I mean, there's the new range is the Aviation Archive, the lovely planes,
right,
followed by the vintage glory of traction engines and steamrollers, etc., or the Fred Dibner range. Then you've got modern trucks, you've got classic cars, and the perennial popular one are the character and TV and film related models. Actually,
family saloons, they do a fair number of family saloons,
family
don't they?
Saloons, probably from the 60s and 70s at the moment. You've also then got the buses, obviously, and trucks, and the rally cars, the rally minis and the race cars.
So replica cars aimed at more collectors or more toys? It's changing, isn't it?
The die-cast manufacturers now are aiming for kind of both markets.
Yeah, a cross-section of both.
Cross-section. You've got the young kids that you want in to start with your toy kind of price points, and then you've got the avid collectors, again, like you and me, who go for the more finely detailed cars. But
right,
we've got to get them in young and get them in early.
Yeah, so they're catering for both ends, yeah?
Definitely both ends.
So if I just wanted to get started, I could probably come in and pick something out, couldn't I?
Collectors who are collecting the toys, you've grown men collecting the toy trucks at like $6 and $8.99. So,
yeah,
you know, and then you've young kids who save their pocket money and come in and buy a £50 model to treasure and keep on in their bedroom or in the box. So
sure,
the models that are out and out collectibles, if there's 5,000 pieces made today, I reckon in 10 or 15 years' time, you'll still find 4,999.
Yeah, sure.
Some of the toys that you see the kids even today come in, they rip the box open, out comes a toy, like those noddy things and things. Those
that
in
we
years
saw
to
earlier,
time
yeah,
could be sought after, because you know they were toys to be played with. This game now, it's so easy to just buy.
Yeah.
And I think the new collectors tend to do that. They just buy
they
everything.
always do, yeah.
They think,
rather than be discerning,
discerning and decide to go for a theme or something.
Right, so when this series ends, I need a job, yeah?
You've got
what
a
about
job
it?
With a job, like when can you start?
Well, there you go, guys. You've got it in one. That was fantastic, really, really informative. Now we're going to look at another aspect of motorsport collecting, and it's motorsport memorabilia. So it's time to catch up with our resident expert, Alex Reed. Well, now we're in a very special part of Alex's shop, which houses some of the more unique items of motorsport memorabilia. Alex, tell me about these suits on the floor here. Now this one looks like it's owned by one Jackie Stewart.
Correct. Used by Jackie Stewart in the 70s when he was racing for the Tyrrell team. It's totally different from our suits that are made these days. And will set you back measly £5,000.
How did you come by this piece?
This particular suit is owned by a customer and we're selling it on his behalf. So they do come from different sources. You can pick them up at auctions. We can buy them from race teams. Come from all over the place, really.
Tell me about this one. This looks like it's a Jordan. And who was the owner of this one?
This one is 1997 race suit, raced for the Jordan team, used by Giacomo Fisichella, which is also signed, if you have a look, on the front of the suit.
Oh, wow.
Just underneath the pocket by Fisichella. It's slightly cheaper, or it's a lot cheaper than the Jackie Stewart team, but then he hasn't been world champion 3 times yet.
So presumably if you're world champion, the suit's going to go for a lot more money?
It doesn't always work that way. It can be dependent on the driver. The more collectible the driver, the more pricey the suit will cost you. Someone like Michael Schumacher, Ferrari, is going to be very expensive.
How about Senna?
Ayrton, again, really collectible. If you're lucky, you could pick a suit up at auction for maybe £15,000, but the price does tend to fluctuate.
Wow, very interesting. Tell me about this piece of car, this front of what looks like a Mazda.
This was the front end of a 787B. It's used 1990 car with the doors, the rear engine cowling, it all comes complete. Unfortunately, it's not the 1991 car because that was the year that they actually won. But it's quite a big piece.
How much would it set me back?
The whole thing with doors, rear engine cover is about £2,000.
£2,000. Right, okay, well look, up here I've noticed that there's a visor which I was quite interested in. Now that looks like it's signed by Mark Blundell.
That's correct, yeah. Mark, when he left F1, went over to IndyCar. Race visor signed in 1996 by Mark Blundell.
How much would that set me back?
About £200 for that one.
Gee. And this cap is also quite interesting. It looks like it's signed by what I would think would be David Coulthard, yeah?
That's correct, yeah. Not easily distinguishable by his signature, but yeah, Mercedes-Benz cap signed by David Coulthard just before they went to West Colours. That's about 1996. So that would cost about £100.
Well, they're really interesting items. Just another piece of car, really. It's a carbon fibre piece, presumably from a race car.
Yeah, that's a front wing flap from a Jordan, used by Rubens, and it says, "To David, best wishes, Rubens Barrichello." A piece like that, again, is going to be about £400.
Now, how do you come by bits of car? I mean, where do you get those from?
Well, every year they change the cars. There's always different bits and pieces. Sometimes we're lucky enough to buy the bits direct from the race team. Otherwise, you can sometimes pick them up from auctions.
Right, I'll keep my eyes peeled. And this letter is quite interesting as well. Now that looks to me like it's been signed by one Enzo Ferrari.
Correct. Enzo historically always signed his signature in purple. We do have people to authenticate that sort of thing because you've got to be on the ball to make sure it's 100%. But there's not a lot of things signed by Enzo except for letters, so again, another prize piece.
How much would this cost me?
We sell that about £500.
Wow. And how did you get this?
Again, another private collector, just deals in signatures, and we to and fro different pieces between us.
Well, I've got to say, this is an absolute treasure trove of a place, and just give me 5 minutes on my own to rummage around, if you know what I mean. Well, that was an absolute treat, a real treasure trove. Next week, I'm at Alexandra Palace in London at a swap meet. We catch up with our resident experts. I also interview a renowned automotive artist, and we see how the guys are doing back at the office with their rally car building. So, I'll see you then. Thank you.